All right, let's see what we can do here. We got sunset going right here, and I'm going to try to make it as quick as possible. So as you can probably see from the title to this video, it's something I haven't titled it yet. It's something like the biological sexual matrix. And this is another one where, in theme of the new leaf that I've turned, I haven't wanted to think very much about it before I started because I want it to be as spontaneous as possible. But this is something that I have thought tremendously about. And so it's something you're going to want to listen to all the way to the end because all this stuff builds on itself. So if you watch the first sexual matrix video and you didn't finish it, go back and finish it, and then make sure you finish this one too, because this is all building a platform for a greater conversation that I want to have. Now, the one thing I want to tell you though before I get started on this is if you have not watched the video that I made called "Let's Come Together and Try This," or if you didn't finish that one, for a limited time, what I'm doing right now is I'm actually making myself available for donation-based calls. This is something I've never done before. If you've ever been to my website and wanted to sign up and have a one-on-one call with me or do some sort of coaching package, you know that I charge a lot of money for that. But I explain in the video, for particular reasons, I am opening myself up for donation calls for a period of time. So if that's something you're interested in, go ahead and send me a message, DM. If it's on YouTube, then put a comment down there with your email in there, or you can email me at patrickhayes@gmail.com. With that said, what I want to talk about, like I said earlier, is the biological sexual matrix. And I'm going to try to make this as short as possible. I just kind of want to scratch the surface of it. So that I can kind of bring people on the same page of where I'm at in relationship to it. So I talked about the sexual matrix being the nuts and bolts of the matrix because the creative energies of the universe are sexual in nature, right? And it's that, yin and yang, masculine, feminine, sexual energy that really is at the core of everything. So when there's distortion at that level, it is distortion basically at the level of creation. So all of the distortions basically arose from that. And so if we can, heal that aspect, then everything else will start to balance itself out. So with that said, the biological matrix is how I want to tie in the understanding of how we've, as a human species, have been biologically put into an addiction to physical addiction to a distorted sexual identity. And this is a deep, deep rabbit hole, as you could probably tell from just even starting to listen. But I think maybe one of the best ways of kind of articulating how, or bringing an understanding or a feeling to how distorted our orientation to sex has become, we could start with this. Like, how about you imagine what it would have been like to grow up in a, say, like utopian tribal society, in which a place where your first sexual experience was with somebody that you felt absolutely fully safe with. Maybe you've known them your whole life. They're part of your tribe. So it's almost like, greater communal family. Everyone within the tribe was super supportive of this union between you and the person. So there's celebration surrounding it, almost like a wedding celebration surrounding the first experience. You guys were completely transparent. There wasn't any nervousness about who this person was, or whether they liked you or not, or if you trusted them or not. It was just complete trust, complete openness, and it was truly just held in a completely sacred container. Now contrast that to what your first sexual experience actually was. All right. And if your first sexual experience actually was like that, then you are like one of the few in the 1%. It's like a fraction of 1% that had that experience. Maybe almost nobody that actually had an experience like that for their first sexual experience. So extremely lucky. Contrast that to the first experience. Now, most people's first experiences are basically the opposite of that. They don't know the person all that well. They're nervous, performance anxiety. Do they really like me? We got to sneak around. Parents might know. All sorts of different things like that. Now, if you look at the kind of like hormonal and biochemical atmosphere or ecosystem of a body experiencing sexuality for the first time, in both of those different environments, it's a completely different makeup. So one is adrenaline based, it's cortisol, stress chemical based. What happens when you're in an adrenaline cortisol state, or you're having thoughts of anxiety or nervousness, or you're not trusting somebody? Well, what happens is our biology tenses up, right? Our meridians tense up, our energetic, spiritual circulatory system tenses up, and the flow of natural energy is not fluid. Not only that, it flows into certain, you could say, like algorithms or patterns that are very limiting for consciousness. For example, like somebody that say cannot be honest, the energetic circulatory system doesn't flow from the heart up through the throat. It would flow, it would block from the heart, not go upwards, and then there would probably be some sort of pulling from the thought realm outside of them into the mouth and out the throat. So a very strange kind of like asymmetric or distorted energy pathway. And these energy pathways, when they get blocked or rerouted into unhealthy directions, are what leads to sicknesses and ailments of all sorts and different types. So you can imagine when there's an energy atmosphere like that, how that affects the biology. And there's something called a sexual nervous system. So we have our nervous system, we have a sexual nervous system, we also have a social nervous system. And these are kind of like, the pathways by which we've kind of weaved our nervous system. So you could think of it as like myelination in the brain. There's different pathways for how it gets myelinated, and that works throughout our whole nervous system that way too. So imagine when you have your first sexual experience, it's the first real experience with a powerful amount of pranic energy. So it has a very, very powerful effect at weaving and kind of imprinting a certain patterning of energy through the body, right? And this is why, at a very young age, having sexual experience is actually really, really damaging. Reason for that is because the nervous system hasn't matured to the point where it can handle that sexual energy yet. And so, like anything, our first imprint of something is very, very powerful, and it kind of sets the tone for how our nervous system starts to wire, and then also sets the tone for how our like energetic or pranic circulatory system associated with sexuality starts to wire. So when it's imprinted and wired that way, and a lot of people's first experience was actually through a screen pornographically, right? Which means that what they're imprinting is all of the shame and all of the child molestation and rape energy that exists in porno into their energetic circulatory system. And that is because, the majority of porn actors are, were molested and raped as children. And so that energy, that trauma is in the porn. And when you commune with things, there's even just, mirror neurons, which we know about scientifically. But when you commune sexually with something, even if it's through a screen, especially if it's the first few times, it really starts to wire your sexual nervous system in resonance, or in, you could say, in sympathy with what is being observed and engaged with on that level. So not even to mention all of the different astral, sexual, distorted entities that can be transmitted through that. All right, so what we're talking about here is the most powerful energy in creation, and this sexual energy. Right now, in a completely relaxed, trustworthy, completely safe and beautiful, loving environment, the sexual energy, it spreads harmoniously through the circulatory system of the energies and through the meridians in the body in a way where it fills everything out. There's not a contraction, right? It's not a tightness, but it fills everything out, and it can lead, obviously does lead to a healthy activation of the Kundalini energy. All right, so you can see how far off the majority of humanity, basically like all of humanity, is something I'm working on, is reprogramming this, because it's ubiquitous. It's in everything. This hypersexualization in a dangerous kind of way is in everything, in all sorts of the media. This is why one really common symptom that people have is to be attracted to people that are unhealthy for them, like the bad girl or the bad boy. What happens is when the nervous system, sexual nervous system, is wired in that kind of way, then arousal has been conditioned into the individual in that way, where they're aroused by things that can actually be unhealthy or dangerous. So it's a very confusing way of wiring the nervous system, because people find themselves attracted to things that are dangerous. People become addicted to this kind of dirty high. When I say people, like, I should be talking about myself too, right? Like, I've been working on this for a long time, especially in the last, like couple years. But addicted to this high of the unhealthy cocktail of hormones and strange wirings through the nervous system. I used to be addicted to drugs many years ago, and one of the things I noticed when I got clean, was able to have a natural bliss experience that was healthy, was it casted a light on my addiction past to show me that the highs that I was having in the addiction, it showed me how distorted these highs actually were, how distorted the high from prescription pills actually was. But I wasn't able to really discern how distorted it was until I had a natural bliss experience, which showed me what an integrated, balanced, blissful experience actually is. It's kind of similar with the sexual nervous system and the sexual experience also. If our first experience was distorted, and we've only had distorted experiences from that, we don't know what a healthy sexual experience truly is like. And because we don't know what that healthy experience is, we don't really know, how to, what we're looking for, in a sense. We don't know what we're missing, in a sense. And so you have a bunch of people that you may have heard of the phenomenon where children are like masturbating with belts around their neck, because at the point of orgasm, if they were in a fear state or a high adrenalized state, it amplifies a certain kind of like orgasmic experience. This is what I would call like a dark alchemy of the sexual biology, right? It can create these kind of fear, adrenaline, cortisol inspired pleasure states that are really only pleasurable because of our lack of experience with the true, natural, trusting states. But if we get programmed this way too young, we never know the difference, and we continue playing out these dirty highs the same way a drug addict would play out dirty highs if they've never felt bliss in a healthy sense or haven't learned how to integrate that. So this just kind of starts to set the stage for this greater conversation that I want to have in regards to the sexual nervous system and in regards to the sexual matrix. Like I said, if you haven't finished the first sexual matrix video, go watch that full one, because there's going to be quite a few of these that I'm creating in order to set this platform so we can have these deeper conversations, because this is something I think is super relevant for humanity at this time in our path, and it's super relevant for me. This is the path I'm on. How do I actually heal this? How do I heal this? Something I've been exploring for a long time. So if this is something you're interested in, feel free to reach out, make a comment, share this with other people. If you do want to connect and you want to talk more about this or anything else, like I said, for a limited time, I'm going to be doing donation-based calls. So you can get access at a price that actually completely works for you, no matter what your situation. So yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. We got the sun going down right now, so I'm going to go get those last couple drops of sunlight, and wish you guys the best. Talk to you next time. One love.